Hello and welcome to Rediscovering Childhood, a podcast that brings you lots of practical information to help you become a more conscious parent. This podcast is brought to you by Discovery Playtime, an Irish business that provides high-quality educational and sensory toys to help your children develop skills through play. Visit discoveryplaytime.ie or download the app to get inspired. Hello and welcome to another episode. We're back here at Rediscovering Childhood, and today we don't have one, we don't have two, we actually have three amazing guests. They are Carla Hannigan, Suzanne Martin and Anna McGrath from Shine Through Play Therapy. So we're going to talk all things play today, as always, or even more. So hello everybody, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Maria. Thanks a million.
Thank you. So would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? So we're going to start with Carla, and you can tell us why you do what you do and how did you get there? Why is play so important for you?
My background is in early years education. Then I went on to study play therapy. And the reason why I went on to study play therapy is because I just felt that there is a need for me to do something more.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Suzanne, how about you?
I'm a primary school teacher. So I have been teaching for about 15 years. And I discovered pre-COVID that I was in a classroom with 30 kids. And one of them whom was completely dysregulated. And I felt totally ill-equipped to help this little fella. So off I went on my play therapy journey. And here we are. I'm also a mum to 4 little beauts, so the training has really helped with
parenting.
with parenting as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Anna. Hello.
Hi, Maria, and thanks for having us. Similarly to the girls, being in the classroom, and I was primary school teacher for over 20 years, and just saw the complexities of life for the kids, and that just seemed to get more and more complicated as the years went on. And then play therapy really came into my radar probably 7 years ago. And I found myself referring children from my class to play therapy because the school I was in had that facility. And I just became really curious. And similar to Carla, I just wanted to do more and to be able to help a child one-to-one like that. And in hand with that, we also work with the parents. So you're kind of making little shifts in the whole parent-family dynamic. And it's just so rewarding. So I started my journey in 2019 and we've all done a 4-year training to be play therapists, and we have our practice in Kildare Town in the primary care centre. And we're there 18 months now, and it's just really rewarding work. Working with parents hand in hand with their children can make a real impact on their life.
Brilliant. And if we go back to the early years first, because I think if you start early, it's work done, then you don't have to do as they grow older. We all know kids are like sponges, and everything you do in the early years, it has a much bigger impact than it takes longer to do it as they grow older, the same kind of work. So how could teachers help in the classroom, preschool teachers, or how can they bring in a little bit of that play therapy work that you do in the classroom?
Yeah, I suppose it's about really connecting with the child and what's going on for them. Play is massive. It's so important for children's development, but it's fairly challenging to be able to implement play therapy in like an ECCE room.
Yeah, I think in terms of the education providers, really the training for them would be more so kind of around emotional regulation. They're not going to be able to give play therapy in their setting unless they have a play therapist coming in. So it's more about looking at the behaviour and looking what's going on underneath that behaviour for the child, because behaviour is communication. They're telling us something. Their brilliant bodies are telling us something, and it's up to us as the adults to get curious about that and to have a little understanding of, well, what is this behaviour telling me? What's happened? What's gone on previous to that? Are there any triggers? Is there any pattern? What's gone on in this little person's life? Chatting to parents and just having an understanding that behaviour is a communication. There's something going on for that child.
Yeah. So if we go back to basics, what is the difference between just play and play therapy?
I think the main difference between just play and play therapy is the connection and the energy in the room. In our playroom, we have all different toys and different mediums, but the most important thing is ourselves and the bond between me as a play therapist and the child that I'm working with. So the focus is completely different, and it's picking up on the energy, and it's the communication between our nervous systems in the room. And we're regulating and we're reflecting and we're mirroring for the child, so that raises their awareness of themselves. So what we want is the child to drop down into themselves more and more during the process. Regular play is not as deep as that, I guess. There isn't always that connection of energies, which is really at the core of the play therapy. It's therapeutic space for the child.
Yeah, play in the classroom, I suppose, is more about the learning than about the regulation. And I think that's why they're bringing a lot of mindfulness and movement and yoga and things like that into the schools, because it's a way of, making that bit of connection between the adult and the children available in the classroom with so many children in just one space.
Absolutely. And that's really important for the children, but also it's wonderful to bring any element of that into the classroom and into schools, and that becomes embedded in the school culture. It's also wonderful for the teachers, which obviously is going to have an impact on the kids. So it's to bring it from the ground up as well for the children, that it becomes a school culture and something they're really familiar with.
I have a few questions from parents that have sent me, and I'd like to ask you and see how you can support them.
Go for it.
So the first question is, do you ever see your own past or present challenges reflected in a child's session?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a definite. Because Suzanne at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is still in my body. And absolutely, there will be some things that children do, some things that they say, some stories that they tell us, and they hit your heart. The amazing thing about that is, if it does hit your heart, you have absolute empathy and understanding for where that child is right now. And you're really able to go and sit in that place with them. Now, the other side of that is once a month we have supervision, and we all have a personal therapist. So when something like that hits you in the room and you say to yourself, right, after this session, I'm texting my therapist and I'm going to go and chat this out. And if we didn't do that, that's where the issues would harbour, because then we would pass on our own backpack onto the child, which is not what we do. So it does. It often hits. Yeah.
That's an amazing process, isn't it? Becoming a play therapist, your own healing, the healing you do for yourself, for your inner child that we all have inside. Absolutely. It's incredible.
I think for a lot of us, it's what makes it attractive. And we all have that journey. And the training is grueling. I think
it is grueling.
Is the words we would use.
You pull yourself apart and then you put yourself back together again.
Over the course of 4 years.
Yeah, it's grueling. Yeah.
But it's the structure of it and the scaffolding that is built into the profession that all counsellors and play therapists have to have that hour and a half every month where they go in. So you're tracking yourself and monitoring yourself all the time. And then you're going into that session for yourself to ensure that it's all okay and you're not bringing that into your own nervous system and into the room as much as possible. But the beauty of it is that, you also want to be authentic in the room with the child. So you're not coming in like a blank slate. You're coming in as yourself. So what we're doing is making sure we're dropped into ourselves too. And then we're in a good place and we have the capacity to be there for the child. But it really is a wonderful part of the work that, as you said, Maria, that healing and that journey is there all the time. Every day is a learning day, and every week, you do see something new and something does hit your heart, but then you get to look at it and
grow together.
Yeah.
And how can we, as parents, do that? What could we do to help our children at home? That because whatever our children do, it triggers our own emotions as well. Mm-hmm. So how would I need to do therapy as well myself as a parent to be able to help my child and be in a calm place and be more supportive the way they need me to be? Yeah,
and the thing is, it's not. I mean, it's saying to a parent you need to be calm. That's It's not going to happen because we all have nervous systems.
I know that.
And I know that. And sometimes after all the training I've had, I have to remind myself, so your child is setting you up. So your child is dysregulated and they're going to set you up to feel what they're feeling. And then they watch you. So they give you their frustration. They give you their anger. They give you whatever it is they have right now. And they watch you. So however you work that frustration or that anger, they think, oh my gosh, there's my blueprint. That's what I do with my frustration and my anger.
No pressure, parents.
But having this information is amazing.
It's priceless. Yeah, it is.
So what we need to do is to be honest. So like if my child is triggering me, I've got to say to myself, okay, I can see what's going on here. I'm feeling the setup. I'm now feeling frustrated and angry. So for me to tell you to be calm in that situation, it's not possible. So I've got one foot kind of in the child's dysregulation, one foot in my own, halfway in my own and halfway in, it's within, I can ground this child. So I'm acknowledging theirs, acknowledging mine, and knowing that I can hold this.
Yeah.
I can hold them. I can sit here and just breathe.
Yeah.
I'm a mum of teenagers and sometimes all I do is take a really loud breath.
And tell them I need a minute. I just need a minute.
Yeah. And often that's enough for them to settle into your breath. So if your breath is, and you're taking a moment, they're automatically, your mirror neurons are firing. They're automatically going to step into that with you. So it's just about you recognising what's going on in your body, what's going on in their body, what's the setup. Okay, this is what I need right now.
You don't need to be calm, you need to be aware and then take it from there.
You drop into, as Anna's saying earlier, you drop into your own nervous system.
Yeah.
How am I feeling?
And express that and share that with your child.
Absolutely.
I can't deal with it right now. I need a minute to calm down.
Or I've got this. I can see you're really frustrated.
Yeah,
I'm feeling that frustration too. I'm going to sit here with you. If you don't want me to sit beside you, I can sit beside the door. Or if they're hitting and kicking and screaming, I can see that you need to punch something. I can see that you need to bite something. Make it safe. Let them do the punching and the kicking, but you're not for punching and kicking. Have you got a beanbag? Have you got a boxing bag? Have you got something they can bite on? That's hard if they need to bite. They're letting the cortisol out of their body and they need to do that. So find a safe way to do it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't come out one way, it will come out another way.
And we don't like that other way.
Not always. And it's about being true to yourself, even though, if you need to step out of the room, step out of the room. And it's being, again, back to being authentic with your child. It's worse to be there in the moment with them and pretend to be calm and have that fake, I'm really calm and everything's okay face, because that's incongruent and that's going to cause more problems because the child is reading that and they know the energy is not matching her face. So it's about being real. And then when you start at that place, then you can grow and learn and expand your own capacity and it makes it much easier rather than trying to pretend you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Our next question. My child struggles dealing with big emotions and I think play therapy would be very beneficial, but my husband thinks I am making a big deal. How can I convince him?
Yeah, and this can happen quite often, and I suppose in every
Nothing
situation.
against husbands, I must say.
No, it could be my husband thinks he needs it, and I don't think he
needs it. It's always the husband, but it's just.
Or granny might think that, it doesn't.
Any family member,
any family member. Or teacher, or it can come from anywhere.
Yeah. And I think it's about just getting the information as well. So we offer that in our parent consultations. It's a lot of the work we do is educating parents and giving them that information about play therapy, first of all. How can it help? But when parents aren't aligned on that, if they can even explore it together, in that situation, maybe the husband is right and maybe the mum is right. We don't know. So what our parent consultation space does offer is a place where parents can come in and in a really safe way explore that together and reflect on all the behaviours, the relationships in the home, what's going on. Why does dad feel different to mum? Why is she seeing more difficulties than dad? And exploring that together can just be so valuable. And it has a ripple effect then on the child straight away, because mum and dad have had the chance to take it all out, take a look at it together and say, okay, actually, maybe we can just make a few changes ourselves. And, you know, we can offer little tips, because I suppose it's from our own parenting, from our own backgrounds in education, from our training as play therapists. There's just certain little things you can do. But it's also understanding the child and where they're coming from. And it keeps coming back to that. So I wouldn't think there's a question of convincing anyone. I think it's more of a question of exploring it together. And then when you have the information and you understand the child better and you understand play therapy, then it's seeing where you land together. Because that's really more important for the child as well, that mum and dad are
on the same page.
On the same page, yeah, sure.
And you'll often find it's the amazing moments, and I know that Anna sees this too, like when we've got parents sitting in front of us, and there's never such thing as a resistant parent. There's a parent who doesn't fully understand, you know, and you'll know immediately when they walk in, okay, who's the one, you know, we'll be kind of able to judge that immediately. Well, not really judge it, but it's just something we'll notice. And then you're halfway through the parent consultation and somebody reaches out a hand or there's a look. And we as therapists are like, oh, there it is. That's it. Maybe that's just the shift that they needed. And so much kind of the parents' healing comes up, and so often something comes up between the couple that they've never named before. Something that happened in their childhood, like we might plant a seed and then they'll say, gosh, yeah, I'm remembering something now. And the other parent might never have known that piece of information. And that might just be the nugget that the other one needed to realise, yeah, you know what, maybe I need to just get curious about that.
It's a brilliant opportunity for communication between the parents as well, isn't it? And understanding each other, that empathy and then supporting their child from
it's a really important piece of our work. Yeah. It is. Yeah.
It's a really beautiful space for parents, to be honest. And you know, sometimes parents come in and that's it. There's never a commitment either for play therapy to happen with the child. The parent consultation is always where we start. And sometimes it leads into sessions for the child, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's just wonderful that, you know, one session can really make an impact.
It's so powerful. Thank you. My son can't cope with frustration and other difficult life situations, and we are waiting for diagnosis. But should I get started with play therapy, or will I just wait for the diagnosis?
I can say, working in a school, that diagnoses don't happen quickly. We all know there's waiting lists for everything. And a diagnosis also it's not going to change. It's not going to change that gorgeous little person that's sitting in front of you. So we would say if there's something going on at home, that there's a pattern to it, it's out of this child's normal, yes, come and chat with us. Yeah, I wouldn't wait. I don't see the benefit in waiting. Maybe it'll just be a parent consultation, and that's part of our service. Or maybe we'll suggest, okay, let's start the play therapy and let's see where we go. I wouldn't be waiting for a diagnosis. Now, we don't diagnose. We absolutely look at the child kind of from a different lens, and we can say to the parents afterwards, look, I'm a little bit curious about this, or I'm a little bit curious about that, but we don't diagnose. It's not a service that we have.
And what does having a diagnosis really change? Like, what's the benefit of having a diagnosis?
It's just another piece of the jigsaw. I suppose for us, in our intake meeting with parents, we will gather as much information as possible. So that means going back to when mum is pregnant with the child, and right the birth, and right through the early years, and right up to the present day, and looking at each part of the child's life, and looking at the relationships and the reactions of the child to different things that happened, transitions into play school, transitions into school, what they all looked like, sleep habits, diet, all the different developmental stages. And we get a clear picture. It's like putting together a jigsaw. And then a diagnosis is just another piece of that, really. You know, we're looking at it in the broader sense of, we see these needs, we see these concerns. So how does this all fit together? And always in our sessions when we're with children, we are keeping all of that circling around our head. All that history, all that has happened for the child, that's all there. So it just helps us to understand the child better. And it's like a backdrop to everything that we're doing for them.
Yeah.
I think it's important as well when, you know, we gather all that history, but it's important to say when a child comes into us then in their first session, we have kind of blanked all that out of our minds because we want to meet the child as they present themselves to us. And that's vital to our work. They come in as themselves and they show us what they want us to see. The rest is just background information, but we work with what the child gives us. When we're setting goals, and we do set goals with parents, we want to set specific little shifts that we want to see in the child's behaviour that will help them. We don't want to change the child. We just want to see little ways of how they respond during the day to different situations that is going to make life a little bit easier for them.
That's brilliant because it
really
makes it a very safe space for the child and for
Yeah.
yourself.
Sometimes with the child, we're actually going back to feelings that they would have had before they were born. We're not looking at a 7-year-old. So let's say you've got a 7-year-old. We might not actually see that 7-year-old until session 10 or 11. So we may start with that child. They might come back maybe to when they were 2. They might come back even to before they were born. And then they might flip forward to when they were 5. We're just meeting the child where they are. We're not meeting them at their chronological age. We're meeting them at their developmental age.
Yeah, and their emotional age, which can be completely different to their chronological age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my real weight and my psychological weight as well are very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the quicker we can meet a child, that can be a real struggle, you know, and it's a huge thing for us that we take away the should. They should be able to do this because he's 7. She should be able to put on her own shoes because she's 4. We should be able to get out in the morning, you know, and let's just take that away and then look at what we're working with. And the quicker we can meet the child where they're at, not where we think they should be at, the quicker we can meet them there, then the quicker they can settle into that and move along.
What do you do to make sure that the child feels really comfortable to be their true self? How do you welcome this child?
There are layers and layers to that, and there are principles that we work with, and we're trained over the 4 years in those principles. It's quite complex and layered, but it's around allowing the child to fill every square inch of the room with their own energy. And it's quite a unique space, isn't it?
It is. And when we'd meet the child for the first session, one of the first things I would always say is, gosh, it's a bit weird, isn't it? You know, you've come here to see me, and, you know, it's really
reflect
odd
what they...
seeing somebody for the first time and just staying here with them for a period of time. I get that that's really weird. We have lots of cool things in that room, and they will move to it, but it's just honouring that. This is a bit weird, isn't it? I've never met you before, and your mum has just left you with me, and honouring it. Because it is weird and it is odd. And they are nervous the first time, but then they run in, and some days they do a little victory dance when they come into you. And there's other days that they meet you at the door with the biggest hug, and then when they're going, they're giving you another big hug. And often that's the child that has found it so difficult to cross the threshold into the room. And if mum or dad needs to stay for the first session or whatever length of time they need to stay, they need to be in the room, that's okay too. Mum or dad might think, you know, they're not going to do this without me. You'd be surprised. And again, that's all when the child is ready. So there's no running out. There's no coming in, oh, I'll just run out here. I'll just stay here on my phone. No. If you're in this room, we now have 3 nervous systems. You're with us, you're on the floor, you're part of the session. And then we'll be saying to the child, we'll give mum or dad or whoever 5 minutes. They'll say, yeah. And then after 5 minutes, is it okay to let them go now? And they might say, yeah. And they might say, no. They're okay, we'll give them another 5 minutes. So, you know, we work with wherever the child is. And if the child doesn't want to go into the room, I've had sessions where I've gone out to the car and sat in the car or stuck my head in the window. And then the next time, that child comes into the room.
So you build that trust as well.
Yeah, you just meet them where they are. There's just this understanding that you can be whatever you need to be right now, and I've got your back.
Yeah. And what type of support would you give to the parents? Not the child now, but the parents. What kind of communication and how often?
So we have an initial parent consultation, and then wherever that leads, if that leads into sessions for the child, we will, at any point we see a concern or anything we want to talk about, we might have a little chat with the parent after every session. Okay. And the way we frame that is, for the child, is we let them know, look, we're helping Mommy and Daddy be, or Mommy be the best Mommy she can be, because that's what she wants to be for you, and that's what you deserve. But keeping up that contact is really important. It's important for parents because, you know, we're all curious as parents as to what is going on for our child in the room. So we're not breaching any confidentiality because it is confidential for the child, but we can reflect on different things for them. And then we have review meetings at week 8. And then we sit down together and look at everything that we spoke about in the initial consultation, and we go back over it and kind of look at where we're at now. Is there more work to be done? We always sign up for 12 sessions. Any child who's coming to us, it's 12 session block minimum. And that allows for the therapeutic process and the different stages of it to happen. It's quite often it's more than that is needed, but sometimes 12 is enough.
Brilliant, thank you. We have another question. Why do more children struggle with big emotions these days compared to years ago? What do you think? And I know that's a bit of an open-ended question. Yeah. There's no right or wrong here, but things have changed.
Things have changed, and in school, I see it at our intake every year. There's more and more dysregulation in the classrooms. There's more and more children that we'd be curious about. Life has changed. Parents are busy. Everybody's working. Everybody's on a timetable. Everybody has a phone in their hand. People are distracted. It's just society has shifted. You know, I think each generation has their own thing. But I think recent COVID also, you know, I know we don't like to talk about it anymore, but we're seeing children now. Yeah, we're seeing children now in schools that were COVID babies or that were COVID ECCE years. Yeah. And their social skills and their emotional regulation is very different to children that we had like 6-7 years ago. So all of that.
And do we need to accept it and then work, you know, or just try to change it? Or
I think we need to acknowledge it, first of all. Acknowledge it as parents. What 5 minutes a day can I eke out, first of all, for yourself?
Because it adds a lot of guilt to your own plate as well. Yeah. I'm not playing with my child enough, and I'm not taking out enough, and I'm not paying attention enough, and I'm not giving the quality time that they deserve. And but as you said, things have changed, so that's why I'm coming from. Like, do we need to just accept it?
And not being good enough is something everybody suffers from. You know, we all have that little voice in our head, and none of us are perfect. We're human, so we make 50 million mistakes. And it's just about getting curious and looking at our own day. Can I have 5 minutes of connection? That, you know, it's not about spending hours and hours. It's just spending a little bit of quality time, preferably one-on-one if that's possible. And sometimes that's not possible. But just no phone, no screen, no TV. What can I do, you know, to give my child this 5 minutes or whatever it is that they need? And then maybe the weekend, it might be possible to give them a little bit more time. The best things in life are free.
I agree.
Yeah, the very best things. The best things in life as an adult is free. Your child will do something and your heart will burst open out of your body. And for 2 seconds, you will land in it and go, oh my God, if I could sell this feeling. It's free.
Yeah.
And they're the moments that we cherish as a parent, and they're free.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it's not beating yourself up, you know, giving yourself a big stick to hit yourself over the back with about what you could. You know, it's taking the should away for parents as well. Yeah. Because, you know, as a parent, you are the perfect person for your child. And it's knowing that and just accepting we're all trying our best. You know, good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, anyone who's listening to this, if you're listening to this, then you're trying your best, you're growing, you're learning, you know, and it's just about those small steps.
Yeah.
And we, you know, we kind of help to frame that for parents.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important that when they step into our room to chat to us, that, you know, we're not saying you should be this, that and the other. We're not judging. It's just about, okay, where are you at? And where's your child at? And that's what we work
And giving
with.
you more options.
Yeah.
To know.
Yeah.
And Gabor Mate only the other day spoke about, you know, you didn't get up in the morning and decide, right, I'm going to be a crap parent today. No, life got in the way. You got dysregulated for whatever reason. And the wonderful thing about it is that we always have the chance, and Bruce Perry's big on this, we always have the chance to go back and repair. So you go back to your little person and you say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I was so tired today. I was so exhausted. And I'm going to try harder tomorrow. Come here.
And that's the
let's have
biggest
5
learning
seconds.
you can give them as well,
Yes.
because life is going to get in their way as well as
Yeah.
they grow older, and they need to see that, because if they never see that, it sets their expectations as in life should be perfect,
Yeah.
and any less than that, I'm failing. So by them looking at you, how you deal with
Role
your day
model.
to day
Yeah.
and everything, and say sorry if you know something got in the way. It's so
Yeah,
powerful.
that repair is huge, huge. And we have to have rupture to have repair. So there's nothing wrong with rupture once we come back to the repair piece. And they learn so much from that. Mummy's not perfect. Daddy's not perfect. They make mistakes all the
They
time.
get
They're
on with it.
able to come back and say sorry. They're able to come back.
Is there anything I can do at home to help my child cope with difficult situations? I feel like I want to help all the time, but I'm not sure that's actually helpful in the long term. And emphasizing all of the time. All of it.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, our awareness for all of us, our awareness around supporting our child's mental health is certainly raised. And you can go the other way. I suppose what I would always say is take your lead from your child and what they're bringing to the table. And of course, we all want to help and we want to understand what's happening. But you know, it's finding that lovely balance, isn't it? Acknowledging what's going on for them and giving them the little bit of support they need, but not
Stepping.
Not
it.
rescuing.
Yeah. But, you know, trusting that they have it within them. And
Encourage
they do.
them
They
to-
absolutely do. They you know, each and every child I've ever worked with, they have it in them to do really hard things and to cope with really hard things. So it's trusting that as well and allowing them to see you trusting them. And
That's
it brings it
very
out in them.
important, yeah.
It brings it out in them.
And sometimes that's just the tiniest things. Sometimes that's just putting on their nice dinner, sitting with them while they watch their favourite programme, even if you can't cope with their favourite programme, but you just sit there and just say, you know, I know it's really hard right now. I get it. It's crap. I
Yeah.
get it's crap.
Yeah, we all love
And I'm
that.
here with you in your crap. And you tell me if there's anything that I can help you with. I'm here. I can do it. And that's it. Because trying to tell them, yeah, I know that didn't really go away, but, you know, nobody's sick, nobody, you know, that's not what they need right now. They need you to honour the hardness of this situation. They're grieving for whatever it is they thought they should achieve or whatever it is. And it didn't happen for them. And that's hard. Just acknowledging it. Yeah.
That's
and
all
sitting
they
in
need,
it.
yeah.
with
It's all any of us need,
them.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when you talk to, it's like the real listening skills, isn't it? Because it's like when you talk to someone telling them your problems and they try to come up with solutions. You don't need solutions. You know what to do. You just need someone to listen.
Yeah. Sit
Really
in
listen.
it. Sit
Really
in it
listen.
here with me now
Yeah.
and I'll feel
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. So no phone.
Get
no
it out of your system.
distractions.
Yeah, that's it.
Sit. Eye contact. Sit with them. Hold their hand. If they won't let you hold their hand, just be close to
Yeah.
them. You know?
Yeah. My child hits and bites a lot in school, so she struggles to make friends. How can I help and why does she do it? That's very common.
It is very common, and I see that too in working in schools. So there's a frustration, there's sensory-seeking behaviour. If they're hitting and kicking, they're getting rid of the cortisol in their body, but they're also looking for something. So obviously, if the parent knows about it, the teacher has told the parent. Is the teacher noticing a pattern? What's happening before this? Is the teacher having some sensory breaks in the classroom? Is there a lot of movement? Can the child move? Is there an option to punch a punching bag, a bean bag? Is there an option for the child to bite on something, have a drink? So again, the behaviour is communicating something. Let's get curious about the behaviour. Let's look at what's going on and what supports can be put in place. Yeah. And chatting to the teacher and seeing what works and working together is going to help that child.
I lose my temper very easily. Oh, that could have been me.
Could have been any of us.
Did I write that? I lose my temper.
No, I wrote it.
My brain wrote it without telling me. I lose my temper very easily when my child has a tantrum, and I know that doesn't help at all. How do I stay calm when they push my limits?
Ooh. Yeah, how common is that? I mean, that's the job, isn't it, of children, to push our buttons and test our limits. And I guess it's for us to know what our limits are. And again, it comes back to, we're not trying to be calm, we're trying to be connected. And we're trying to be authentic. So it's kind of, not trying to be connected, but expanding that and your ability to do that in a difficult situation when your child is pressing your button, and trying to expand that all the time, and knowing it's coming as well, and either intercepting with something else or getting yourself out of the situation. But I think it really helps as well if you can reframe your child's behaviour, and that's what we do in every parent consultation we have. And it's massive, that when parents say, oh my God, after talking to you, Anna, I see him so differently, or I'm catching myself now, because there's that Karen Treisman quote. You see, when you see a child a different way, you see a different child. Yeah. So when you see the behaviour differently, and we can really help with that. And that, again, I mean, that really is essential part of our work that we need to do, because we're able to frame it in a different way for a parent. And then they can go away and they're really able to connect much better with that child when they understand where the child is coming from, where their emotional age may be at, what the trauma might have done to their nervous system if there was a trauma. And, it's not always a trauma. Sometimes we don't know why a child is coming up with behaviours or why those concerns are presenting themselves. But we just work with what we're seeing. We find when a parent really understands that and understands, we talk about neuroscience and child attachment and regulation and child development and all the stages. And when you can put all that together, and it just makes it so much easier for parents to then go home and go, oh, okay, I know what's going on there now. And they're able to connect on a much deeper level.
Hope my brain heard that.
It's great in theory, Maria.
Don't even try to do that. You know what I'm doing lately? I would narrate everything that I'm feeling as it comes to my child, so they know it's coming. So I'd be like, this is making me really angry, so I'm gonna need to breathe, and I'm going to be breathing right now. And as I say, I let that anger go with my own words, and they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. My tantrum can wait.
But how long?
They're older now, and we are very used to expressing our own emotions at home too much, maybe. But that's helping us.
Naming it, to name it, to tame it, and that emotional literacy that you're passing on to them is great as well. I mean, ultimately, that's where we want them to be, isn't it? Where they can express their emotions in a really healthy way. So it's building on that all the time. Yeah. But
And what you said earlier, that trust them that they can do harder things than we think they can, and same with the words. You can express more difficult or complex words that you think, they're not going to understand that. They won't if you don't use them.
Absolutely.
So
you're modelling all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Our next question: I hate playing with my child. I find it so boring. She always tells me what to do and what not to do, so I can't even improvise anything. How do I connect with her in a way that's fun for both?
Okay, so there's a couple of things in this. Your child is trying to show you their world and work that out kind of in their play, and they're trying to share their experiences with you. What I would say is the piece here is that you find it boring and you don't like being told what to do is kind of what I'm picking up there. So I get curious about that. You know, why are you finding it boring? Why is it frustrating for you that it's boring to spend time with your child? And I understand that it can be boring, but something's coming up there. There's also a piece here about not liking kind of your child telling you what to do. So get curious, a little bit curious about that. Why is it that you don't like your child telling you what to do? And if you don't like your child telling you what to do, maybe your child has the same feeling when you tell them what to do. So just kind of maybe reframe that a little bit for yourself, which might be helpful to kind of just lean into the play. Is there something that you both like doing together? Can you play one game? You know, I mean, if we were to say this with children, we'd be saying, okay, well, what do you like playing and what do you like playing? Okay, well, can we play this game today? Can we play that game tomorrow?
A bit of compromise.
A little bit of compromise and just lean in, you know, lean into that inner child, that 8-year-old or 7-year-old or whatever it is that's, you know, that's looking in front of you and try and be yourself as that 8-year-old or as that 4-year-old and just get silly with it. Get ridiculous. Put on a bit of music if that helps you and kind of dance yourself into it. Just get a little bit playful with it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's how your inner child's kind of saying a reflection there and you don't like it. It's making you feel uncomfortable.
I can completely relate.
Yeah.
and, you know, I remember when my children were younger, they're teenagers now, but just... yeah, I did find it really boring sometimes.
Yeah.
And that became a frustration for me as well as for them. And I suppose then you learn that they're really trying, children always in play are trying to show you their world and their understanding of it. So it's such an opportunity to be curious and to see what's going on, but it can be boring. So I suppose it's for parents also to remember that it's okay if you've done enough of that and you've tried to meet them.
No.
Whatever works for you, I suppose. Would you?
Whatever works for you. The timer would drive me mad going off. It would drive me to distraction. But if it works for you, it works for you.
And what we do in the playroom, like a timer can be just such a jarring thing, especially for a child who's already, their nervous system is a little bit activated. So what we do in the playroom is the child knows that they have the full session, but we count down from 5 minutes. We tell them there's 5 minutes left and there's 1 minute left, and then we count down from 10, which is a lovely thing that can be used in classrooms. It can be used at home, and it just eases the child into that, especially a child who struggles with transitions, that it just gives them that awareness that it's coming, rather than an alarm clock going
off. Sometimes that's all it takes to avoid tantrums or meltdowns in that case, that they set their expectations that's going to be over, and then stick to that.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's supporting their little nervous system it's a little bit more gentle with it, but it also sets a boundary, which they absolutely need as well. Yeah.
I have been thinking about booking play therapy for my child for so long, but I feel like if I take that step, I'm accepting that there is a problem. What do I do? Am I the one who needs support?
Oh, I know. And I would say to that, we all need support. You know,
agree.
Yeah, we all need support. And
whether we like it or not.
Yeah. And
accepting ourselves.
For as long as we leave.
For as long as we live. It none of this is linear, everything. And I'm moving my hand as I do this, even though you can't see me. You know, there's peaks and troughs in this.
She's moving her hand.
Yeah. Nothing is linear. Yeah. You know, and in all aspects of life, we need support. And good on you. Yes, you have already accepted it because you've written it down. Yeah, go for it. And you know what? All of our kids go through difficult times. They all at various different times of their lives need help. And isn't it wonderful that you as a parent are able to acknowledge that, able to give it to them, and that the help is there.
And that there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it is.
That's the main thing.
It's as normal now as going to the dentist, the occupational therapist,
it doesn't
the
mean
hairdresser. You're looking after your mental health. It's like going to the doctor. And looking after your child's mental health is a gift that's going to last them for the rest of their life. Because if they come up with challenges later on in life, they're going to know I can go and talk to somebody who's going to help me. You know, because they have had that feeling of safety and connection with somebody when they were much younger, and that feeling doesn't leave them. I mean, we can all remember one person in our lives who made us feel accepted, listened to, heard. And if we think about them for a second,
hope, doesn't it?
It gives you hope. It gives you this just gorgeous, warm feeling in your body. Giving a child that at a young age is just, it's a gift. It's a gift. So go for it. Have a parent consultation. Maybe that's going to be enough. You know, just, reach out.
We have one more question. My child's very shy and has social anxiety when going to new places. How can I help? And I'd like you to talk about this being shy as well, which I hear a lot at workshops, and she's very shy. I'm like...
And there are certain threats to our nervous systems as well, and that can be identified, and one of them is the unknown. So that would be a huge thing if you're bringing a child to somewhere new.
Would you swap the word shy for something else?
Shy is, you could layer it, couldn't you? What's in there? Scared?
Yeah.
You know, unsure, lacking in enough information. I
agree.
The fear of the unknown.
Yeah. So say, for example, if your child, you would like them, you know they're going to enjoy some class like karate or gymnastics or swimming or whatever, but they are, no, I don't want to go there, and they're not sure. But you know if they got in the door that they would enjoy it. So it's the unknown. And we are all like that, you know. The unknown is a threat to our nervous system. So it's making it as known as possible. So scheduling a little visit to the karate class or the gymnastics or the swimming pool where the child gets to see the coach, gets to hear what the sounds are, gets a general feeling. And you can even organise maybe that the coach would come over and say hello. So then it just becomes somewhere that is familiar, and they know it's safe, and they might feel more comfortable about going there. That's one important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, just making the unknown known. What can we do before we go there? Tell them, like, let's say sometimes children are even quite shy, and I'm going to put it kind of in italics, at family parties. You know, it takes them a little while to kind of warm up. So who's going to be there?
Set their expectations.
Yeah, just let them know. Or even if it's not something as simple as a family party for somewhere they've never been before, well, Google map it. It's going to take this long. This is the road we're going to take. Let's go into the website. Let's find out what the place looks like. Make as much known as possible. It's going to ease their nervous system. It's going to give them a little bit of, okay, I have some kind of an idea of what's going on now. I mean, we as adults have that same feeling. Whenever we have an appointment in somewhere new, what do we do? The first thing we do is Google map it and find out, well, how long is it going to take me to get there?
Yeah.
So as adults, we have the same thing. So now you're putting the unknown onto a tiny little person
that has even less experiences than you have. So
yes,
it's
they've
not
no
as familiar.
experience. So when they go back into their hippocampus, that file isn't there because they've never experienced it before. So you're trying to give them as much of that experience as you can before they get there.
Yeah.
And that's going to help.
Just one example I can think of now, when I go to Lapland every Christmas as an elf, and I see lots of families telling their kids that they're going to Lapland right there at the airport. And it's very overwhelming. And I know they mean well, and it's the excitement, but they would get just as excited if they were told the day before, or you know. And it's beautiful for some kids. It's fine, but for some other kids, it's very overwhelming.
Yeah. And it's very sensory. And you've got all that stuff coming in, that overload of sensory data into their little systems
so
without
that just
knowing
brought
it's
one
coming.
Extreme, but
And then they have to get on an airplane.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's singing and dancing and jingle belling. And
stop!
Yeah.
And what kind of...
it's a lot.
What behaviours would you see, Maria, then with those children who become overwhelmed?
They're just... All kinds. Some
get
are
upset.
like... full of joy, like I can't believe it. I'm not, and they're excited because they're not going to school. They don't care where they go. They're just not going to school, and they're delighted. Some others are very overwhelmed, and it takes them a day or two to get the idea, so they miss out on the experience because they're still in shock for so long.
So your advice would be tell them.
Oh, 100%.
Tell them.
You can tell them the year before, you can tell them a week before, you can tell them the day before, because they'll be asking every day, is it today? Is it today? Is it today? So maybe just the day before, but it's the excitement of getting, helping with the planning and packing and everything.
Absolutely.
And it makes that experience last longer as well, not just the 3 days that you're in Lapland, but a lot longer. And it's in every area of life. It's getting them into the planning and organizing and listening to their voice, and that their opinion matters as well. And it's not just you deciding this is what we're doing. I don't care what you think.
Yeah. It's traveling. I traveled a lot with my kids when they were younger. We lived abroad, and it's allowing them, no matter what age they were, they had their passport in their hand, a passport check. Even if I had to lift them up, that they could reach the window. But it was just giving them that little bit of independence and that they're part of it, and always helping to pack the bags. And all of that empowers children to have a real sense of ownership. And again, that instills, it's about the trust as well. I trust you can do this. You're able to do this. And you start with the small things that seem very grown up to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're safe.
Like helping with the chores at home and everything. It just gives them that I belong here.
Yeah.
They trust me.
I'm part of a team.
I'm part of it.
Yes.
And
I think we're all guilty of doing too much for our kids as well.
But sometimes it's just a lot darn quicker to do
it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
You
get out the door quicker.
Pick that up. But I would have picked it up 10 days ago.
I saw a lovely clip on Instagram actually last week, and it was a really young boy, and he was in the workshop with his dad, and he was sitting up. He was so young, he was maybe 4, and he was sitting up on the bench, and he had some wood and he had some nails and he had a hammer, and the dad was teaching him, off you go, and teaching him how to hammer in the nails, and he was doing it himself. And it was a real moment. I thought, gosh, that would have been quite normal, when I was younger, maybe that you'd be out making tree houses or, and there are lots of children who still do that. But I think a lot of children that has been taken away.
And I'm sure if you read the comments on that post, you'd see
Oh, yeah.
all the judgment and bad parenting because you're giving them a real hammer.
But it was so beautiful. And what's the worst that can happen, you know? They hit their thumb, they won't hit it again.
Yeah, that's how you learn, isn't it? Yeah. You don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn anything. Yeah. Brilliant. That was all really, really helpful, and I'm sure it will it will provide a lot of information to lots of parents to have more information, because as you said, I think we all try our best, and there is no better than trying our best. There's no perfect parenting. There's no
such thing.
It's as perfect as it gets. Whatever you do, that's as perfect as it gets. And having more information allows you to make better decisions and have more options. For the benefit of your children and for your own as well.
So we are shinethroughplaytherapy@gmail.com or www.shinethroughplaytherapy.com.
Thank you. And it's very important when we look for a therapist. There's a lot of therapists out there.
There are. And, you know, I always say to parents as well when they come in, it's making sure that I'm the right fit for their child. And I say that to every single parent I meet. You know, it's an energy in the room, and they need to feel that. And if they don't feel it, and generally you will know by a phone call. Okay. So when parents reach out to us by email or phone or whatever, we make it our mission to contact them back pretty quickly, because we know it's hard to reach out. But they'll know from a phone call, and then certainly once they meet. And if it doesn't feel right, then you move on and you go and you find someone that you can trust as a parent, because that's really important that's there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to share your own story on our podcast, please get in touch through our social media. Don't forget to like, share and follow so you'll never miss out on upcoming episodes. See you next time!